Good evening, class. Welcome, English 9B, Thursday night, Mr. Garza's English class. I wanted to take this assignment and go over it with those of you who have not even completed the first assignment yet. This was the first assignment given out in early March that was supposed to cover 3 weeks. It was the workbook, the same style workbook that we do in class every day before the COVID stopped our classroom meeting. The assignment was to go up to page 52. Now in this video, I believe I'm just going to go up to page 32 and go through the reading and the answers with you guys to help you that have not completed it get it done. So make sure you have your paper out and you are ready to begin as we go through. So the first questions come on page 7 here. And the first answers for this story is page 7, and it has to do with two lions who were killing workers who were trying to build a railroad in Africa. And it goes through the story of Mr. Patterson, who has to hunt down the lions and kill them to stop them from feeding on actual humans. So we look at comprehension and critical thinking skills. First one, A, recognize and recall details. Number 1, it says, how well do you remember the facts in the article? Put an X in the box next to the answer that correctly completes each statement about the article. Number 1, Colonel Patterson became convinced of the existence of lions when B, he found the remains of one of the workers. He had heard the stories, he didn't believe it, and now once he found the remains of workers, he knew that they had lions who were actually stalking and killing people. Number 2, in order to protect the workers, Patterson decided to A, build thorn fences around each camp. He thought that this would keep the lions out, but they would simply jump over the thorn fences, grab a new person, and run away. Number 3, the workers knew a lion was about to attack them when C, it grew silent. So they would hear the lion's roars, and once they got quiet, they knew that the lions were stalking somebody, and then they would snatch someone and run away. Number 4, Patterson climbed a tree and tried to attract the lions by A, tying a goat to a tree. So he tied the goat to a tree as bait, hoping the lion would come get the goat and he could shoot them, but it was a failure because they went someplace else where he wasn't. Okay, section B, find the main idea. So one of these three statements is too broad, one is too narrow, and one is the main idea of the story. So the first one, two man-eating lions halted work on a railroad in Africa by killing more than 120 people before Colonel Patterson, the man in charge of the railroad project, killed the lions. That is your main idea. It covers all the main points of the story and gives you the information you need. The second one, 2, when Colonel Patterson was firing at the lions, he was afraid they would kill him. That's a true statement. It's too narrow and only gives you one small sliver of the story. That's why there's an N there. Number 3, man-eating lions terrorized people in Africa in the late 19th century. That is a too broad statement. It covers too much information and it needs to be narrowed down. Okay, moving along. Section C, summarize and paraphrase. Now, you're supposed to look at number 1, write a summary of paragraph 8 in no more than 25 words. So I'm not going to write that one in because that's something that you guys are all going to have to do on your own. And it says summary of paragraph 8. So if you go back up here to paragraph 8, here we go. I put a box around it. So you're just supposed to read this one single paragraph and summarize that paragraph into your own words. Okay, each of you is going to have something different, which is why I did not do that one. It was kind of everyone to do it differently. Same thing, number 2, summarize paragraphs 11 through 13 in 2 or 3 sentences. So you go to paragraphs 11 through 13 and you summarize those in 2 or 3 sentences. All right, number 3, put an X in the box next to the paraphrase for the following sentence from the article. The lion's reign of terror was over. So the number that most resembles that sentence is A. The lions were no longer a threat because that's what that sentence meant. D. Making inferences. So an inference is something you can assume from the reading without it actually saying it. So let's look at the first one, and we're going to decide if these are correct inferences or faulty inferences. Number one, the lions like to eat human flesh more than the flesh of other animals. That's a C. That's correct inference because the lions kept stalking the workers who were working on the railroad. Number two, Patterson was not very confident of his hunting skills. That's a faulty inference because the fact that he kept hunting the lions proved to you that he was confident that he can go after these killer lions. Number three, all the railroad workers had guns, but they did not use them because they preferred that Colonel Patterson take the risk himself. That is faulty. They did not have guns. That's why they kept getting picked off and eaten by the lions. Number four, lions cannot climb trees easily. That is faulty. The lion, he was scared that the lion was going to come for him, and that's why he was terrified when he had to shoot at the lion. Number five, the lions of Tsavo were strong, and that's a correct inference because they grabbed people, snatched them, and ran away with them. E, recognize author's effects and intentions. Number one, the author uses the first paragraph of the article to A, get the reader's attention. Number two, the main purpose of the second paragraph is to B, describe the setting of the article. Number three, which of the following statements from the article best describes Colonel Patterson's reasons for trying to kill the lions? And that will be C, the railroad needed to get finished. Section F, evaluate and create. Which statement below is an opinion? And that would be A, all lions should be put in zoos. That's an opinion. Number two, from the article, you can conclude that if Colonel Patterson had not killed the lions, C, the railroad would not have been completed. 3. What was the effect of Patterson waiting for the lions near a half-eaten donkey? That would be B. Patterson was able to kill one of the lions. Okay, that was letter B. Next story is Doctors Without Borders. And this is a story about doctors who volunteer to go to war-torn countries where things are bad, and they volunteer their time to help people. It's a very amazing story about these doctors who don't get paid, and they sacrifice their time. So section A, put an X next to the answer that correctly completes each statement about the article. Number one, Doctors Without Borders was started by B, a group of French doctors. 2, Mary Lightfine became an emergency room nurse because she, C, wanted more action in her life. 3, the people who work for Doctors Without Borders, C, see a lot of suffering. 4, Lightfine did not help people, B, to rebuild their homes. They were doctors and not there to build. Section B deals with finding the main idea. One of these is a main idea of the story. One is too broad and one is too narrow. So the first one, number one, the group Doctors Without Borders gives medical care to victims of war and natural disasters. The workers are volunteers. That is too broad of a statement. It needs to narrow it down a little bit more. 2, Mary Lightfine worked with Doctors Without Borders as a nurse for 8 years in 10 different countries. In spite of the hardship she experienced, she found her work rewarding. That is the main idea, M. Number 3, in 1997, Mary Lightfine worked as a nurse in a refugee camp in Macedonia. And that is N, too narrow. Section C, like before, numbers 1 and 2, number 1, both parts you're going to have to do on your own. Read paragraph 9 and summarize it in your own words. So each of you is going to have something different. Number 2, so we got to look at the two statements and then the paraphrase and say if it says too much or if it's different. The statement is, many feared their lives would never return to normal. And the paraphrase says, many were afraid they would never return home. And the answer is C, the paraphrase does not match the statement. Section D is about making inferences. Inferences is about the story. So number 1, many remote areas have no doctors. Correct. That's a C, correct inference. 2, volunteers with Doctors Without Borders choose where they want to go to work. That is F. That's a faulty inference. 3, Mary Lightfine's family did not approve of her work. That is a F, a faulty inference. And number 4, volunteers of Doctors Without Borders live in conditions similar to those of the people they are helping. That's a correct inference because we read about how she slept in cots on mud floors. So she lived just like the people she was trying to help. Okay, section E. The main purpose of the first paragraph is to B, describe a scene in which an old man is dying. 2, what is the author's purpose in writing Doctors Without Borders? And that is C, to inform the reader of the group Doctors Without Borders and about Mary Lightfine's work. 3, choose a statement that describes the author's position in paragraph 16. And that would be B, in spite of the hardships, working for Doctors Without Borders can be rewarding. F, evaluate and create. Put an X next to the best answer. Which sentence expresses a fact? And that would be B, Lightfine saw other countries and learned about other ways of life. Number 2, from the information in the article, you can predict that Mary Lightfine, A, will continue to help others. Okay, moving along, third story, the truth about the Tassidae. Now, this is a story in the Philippines about scientists supposedly stumbled upon this group of people who go back to the Stone Age, and they're very they have no contact with modern people. And as the story goes on, people discovered it was a hoax, it was make believe, and they were being covered for by someone in the government. So, number 1. The Tassidae tribe was reported to be discovered by a C, local trapper. 2, observers said the Tassidae ate such things as A, wild palms, yams, crabs, and tadpoles. 3, Manuel Elizalde was given the job of protecting B, all Philippines tribes from too many visitors. And number 4, after the old government crumbled, a Swiss writer discovered the Tassidae hoax. That is A. Swiss writer discovered the Tassidae hoax. Okay. Section B. Main idea, too broad, too narrow. Number 1 is too broad. It says researchers and scientists can be misled when their desire to make remarkable discoveries overcomes their common sense. Number 2, the apparent discovery of a Stone Age tribe in the Philippines in 1971 was revealed to be a hoax just 15 years later. That is M, the main idea of the entire story. Number 3, Manuel Elizalde, a Philippine official, said that he was protecting a small primitive tribe from the modern world. That is N, too narrow to be this article. Section C, this is part that must be done on your own. Each of you should have a different summary. Moving on to number 2. So we got read the statement and then paraphrase and decide what to do next. The statement is in 1986, Elizalde vanished, taking $35 million meant for the Tassidae with him. Paraphrase. Elizalde disappeared in 1986, so that would lead us to believe it is B. The paraphrase does not say enough. Making inferences. Number 1, rainforests cover a large amount of land in the Philippines and are home to many people. That is a correct inference. C. Number 2, scientists do not know how much about daily life of people in the Stone Age. That is an F, faulty inference. Excuse me. Number 3, all officials in the old Philippine government were dishonest. That is a faulty inference. F. 4, Swiss writers are more careful in their research than other writers. That is an F, faulty inference. And 5, if researchers had not been carried away by the idea of making a great discovery, they could have seen that the Tassidae tribe was fake. C. Okay, moving along. E, recognize author's effect and intentions. The main purpose of the first paragraph is A, introduce readers to the topic of the article. Number 2, you can conclude that the author wants the reader to think that B, many people were fooled by the story of the Tassidae. 3, the author tells this story mainly by C, telling about events in the order that they happened. Number 1, from what happened in the article, you can predict that if anyone else ever reports having found a Stone Age tribe, and that would be C, scientists and reporters will check the facts more carefully. 2, what was the effect of the Tassidae on the crumbling of the Philippine government? That would be C, the Tassidae could no longer be hidden from public. And then finally, number 3, of the following things, which one fits the story best? That would be B, get proof before you believe an unusual story. And our last story that we will cover today is Near Death on the Football Field, the story about a football player who went to make a tackle and he ends up getting a spinal injury, which many thought that would either cripple him or even kill him, and he ends up making a recovery due to science. Number 1, Reggie Brown was injured, B, while tackling one of the Jets. 2, when team doctor Terry Locke rushed onto the field, B, Brown wasn't even breathing. Number 3, Fallman Locke moved Brown's neck because A, it was the only way they could remove his helmet and give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. 4, a new treatment for spinal cord injuries, B, helped Brown to recover quickly. Section B is main idea, too broad, too narrow. Number 1, no one thought that Reggie Brown would walk again after being injured on the football field, but he surprised everyone in his quick recovery. That is M, the main idea of the story. Number 2, according to doctors, half of the people with a spinal cord injury like Reggie Brown never walk again. That is too narrow. And then 3, many football players suffer serious injuries. That is too broad a statement to be the story. Section C, summarize paragraphs 9 and 10. Do that on your own. Number 2, put an X in the box next to the choice that completes the following summary of the article. The article about Reggie Brown begins with a description of how he was hurt and goes on to explain B, his treatment and recovery. Number 3, choose a sentence that correctly restates the following sentence from the article. The odds of a full recovery are not good. That would be C. The chances of recovery are completely low. Section D, make inferences. We're doing C or F, correct or faulty inferences. 1, the absence of a pulse always means that a person has a serious spinal injury. That is F, faulty inference. 2, it is extremely dangerous to move the neck of someone with a spinal cord injury. That is C, correct inference. Number 3, a spinal cord injury can affect a person's ability to walk. That is C, a correct inference. Number 4, Reggie Brown could now become a soccer player. That is an F, a faulty inference. And 5, the support Brown received from friends and family helped him to recover more quickly. That is C, correct inference. Section E, recognize the author's effect and intentions. Number 1, the main purpose of the first paragraph is to A, describe the setting of a story. Number 2, what does the author mean by the statement, before the end of the day, though, there would be much more on the line than just a football game? That would be B. Before the end of the day, something more important than the outcome of a football game would have happened. Number 3, the author probably wrote this article to B, tell Reggie Brown's inspiring story. F, what sentence gives an opinion? That would be C, Reggie Brown is a lucky man. 2, from the information of the article, you can predict that Reggie Brown will A, live a relatively normal life. And 3, which paragraph best supports your answer to question 2? That would be C, paragraph 16 at the end. Now, I covered the first 33 pages of the 52 you got to do for this first assignment. Based upon how many of you do get this done, I will complete more videos, but I do need to see some work out of you guys so that we can continue on with the class and get you guys credit. Hope you guys are doing fine. I hope to see some work turned in from you guys. Hope to hear from you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.